This video goes over the metric conversion challenge worksheet. So the top of the worksheet goes over just the right abbreviations. For this, the abbreviations, you're going to look for both the prefix and the unit name. For number one, the prefix in this case is kilo, which is abbreviated with that K, and the unit name is gram, which is abbreviated with G. For the second one, we have meter. There is no prefix here, so we're only going to have one letter, and that'll be an M for meter. For number three, it's kind of cut off in the picture, but that's going to be our gram. Also no prefix, so that's just going to be a G for gram. For number four, we have milliliter. Now it's important to pay attention to what the word actually says. The prefix is milli, so that's our M, and the unit is liter. That's a capital L. So in this case, we have lowercase m, capital L. The number five is millimeter, so that's going to be mm. And then number six, once again, only has one word, liter. There's no prefix, so it's just going to be a capital L. Number seven is kilometer, but it once again has that kilo prefix, so our K, and meter is our unit, so we use our M as our second letter. Number eight is centimeter. Centi is our prefix, so we use a C, and meter is our unit, so we use the M. Number nine is milligram. Milli is our prefix, so we use a lowercase m, and gram is our unit, so we use that lowercase g. For the first question on our actual conversions, we have 2,000 milligrams equals how many grams? So for this, we want to use our King Henry abbreviation. So I've written that out here, KHDUDCM. We're going to use that every time here. And I started at my M for milli at the very end, and I drew arrows all the way back to my unit because my gram is just my base unit, my U. And as you can see, I've had to go back 3 places to the left or backwards. So now I want to look at my 2,000 milligrams, and I want to take my decimal, which if it's not already written there, it means it's right at the very end. And I want to move my decimal the same amount that I moved on my King Henry abbreviation. So I'm going to move my decimal to the left 3 places, just like I moved from my M to my U 3 places. So you can see on the picture I've drawn that decimal moving 3 places over, which gives me that 2.0 grams. For number 11, we have 104 kilometers equals how many meters? So just like before, we're going to start with our King Henry abbreviation, and this time we're going from our K, kilometers, to our base unit, U. And if you're drawing your arrow from the K to the U, you're moving to the right 3 spaces. Using our numbers here, we want to start with 104 kilometers, where our decimal place is. Remember, if it's not there to begin with, just put it right at the end. So 104 dot. We're going to move that decimal place to the right 3 spaces, just like from our K to our U up in the picture above. So we're going to take our decimal place and move it 3 spaces to the right. Now, if we're moving our decimal place over and there are empty spaces, we've got to add in extra zeros here. So in this case, we have a 104, and then now we're adding 3 extra spaces before our decimal point. So we end up with 104,000 meters. Number 12 is 480 centimeters equals blank meters. So we're going from our C, centimeters, to our U, base unit, meters. So we're moving to the left 2 spaces. So looking at our numbers again, 480, the decimal point starts at the very end, 480 point, and we're going to move that decimal to the left 2 spaces. And that will give us 4.8 meters. Number 13 is 5.6 kilograms equals how many grams? So we're going from kilo, that K, and our King Henry, to grams, our unit, our base unit, U. So we're going to the right 3 spaces. Starting with 5.6, we already have a decimal point, so we're going to use that decimal point where it's at already. Now moving from the K to the U, we're going to go to the right 3 spaces. So taking the point to the right past the 6, and then 2 more spaces all the way over. And remember, anytime we have extra empty spaces when moving the decimal point over, we just put zeros in those places. So we move the decimal point past the 6 and then past 2 more empty spaces. So we end up with 5,600 grams. Number 14 is 8 millimeters equals how many centimeters? So milli, that M, to centi, C, is going to be to the left 1 space. Starting with our number 8, there is no decimal, so we would put it right at the end, so 8 dot. We're going to move our decimal to the left 1 space, so we end up with 0.8 centimeters. Number 15 is 5 liters equals how many milliliters? So we're going from liters, our base unit, to milliliters, the M on our King Henry abbreviations. So we are going to the right 3 spaces. Looking at the numbers, 5 liters, the decimal place is after the 5. Moving the decimal to the right 3 places, we are going to add 3 more empty spaces that we need to put zeros into. So 5 liters turns into 5,000 milliliters, which makes sense because 1 liter is 1,000 milliliters. Number 16 is 198 grams equals how many kilograms? So to go from grams, our base unit, to kilograms, our prefix of K, we need to move to the left 3 decimal places. So with our number 198, our decimal goes at the end, so 198 period, and our decimal place is going to move to the left 3 spaces. So it moves all the way to right in front of the 1. So we get 0.198 kilograms. Number 17 is 75 milliliters is how many liters? So for this one, we're going from milli, our M, to liters, our U, base units. We're going to be moving left 3 decimal places. So looking at 75 milliliters, once again, we put the decimal place at the end of the number, and now we're going to move it to the left 3 places. So we'll move it back in front of the 5, back in front of the 7, and then 1 more space back that we have to fill in with a 0. So 75 milliliters will equal 0.075 liters. Number 18 says 50 centimeters equals how many meters? So we're starting with centi, our C, and we're moving to our unit, meters. So we're moving left or back 2 decimal places. For our number 50, our decimal place starts at the end, and it's going to move back 2 spaces. So it'll move back between the 5 and the 0, then back in front of the 5 to give us 0.50 meters. Number 19, 5.6 meters equals how many centimeters? So we're starting at meters, our base unit, U, and we're going to centimeters, our C. So we're going to the right 2 spaces. In 5.6, we already have our decimal place in the middle. So our decimal place is going to move to the right 2 spaces. So we'll move to the right to the end of the 6, and then to the right again, we'll have an open in space where we add an extra 0, which gives us 560 centimeters. Number 20 is 16 centimeters equals how many millimeters? So centimeters to millimeters is going from C to M. So we're moving to the right 1 decimal place. So 16 centimeters, the decimal place would be at the end. If we're moving it to the right 1 space, we're adding an extra 0 to get 160 millimeters. Number 21 is 2,500 meters equals how many kilometers? So meters is U, the base unit, to kilometers is K. We'll be left 3 spaces. Starting with the decimal at the end of 2,500, moving the decimal place to the left 3 spaces gives us 2.5 kilometers. Number 22, 65 grams equals how many milligrams? So grams is U, our base unit, to milligrams is our M, is going to be to the right 3 decimal places. 65 grams has a decimal place starting after the 5, and moving the decimal place 3 more spaces to the right opens up 3 more spaces for zeros. So we end up with 65,000 milligrams. Number 23 is 6.3 centimeters equals how many millimeters? So centimeters is our C, moving to millimeters, our M, is moving 1 space to the right. Starting with 6.3, the decimal place is in the middle. Moving the decimal place 1 place to the right gives us 63 millimeters. For our last one, number 24, 120 milligrams equals how many grams? So milli is our M, grams is our U, our base unit, so we're moving 3 decimal places to the left. So our decimal place starts after the 0 in 120 and moves 3 decimal places to the left. So in front of the 0, in front of the 2, and in front of the 1. So we end up with 0.12 grams. So if you can memorize in the correct order, your King Henry doesn't usually drink chocolate milk, you can use those abbreviations each time to tell which direction and how many spaces your decimal place needs to move, and you can convert any of these metric values to a different metric unit.